So good evening, everybody, and welcome to another session of Free to Heal, where we come together every week and we try to heal the ravages of incarceration, where formerly incarcerated loved ones, children, anybody who has been directly affected by mass incarceration. And we come together every week and talk about things. And today, I want to talk about something that it was raised toward the end of our session last week. And it occurs to me that it happens a lot, but I want to explore with each person fear. One of the guys last week talked about fear. And so what I want to do, I actually pulled the definition off the dictionary. It's an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. Okay. Anxious, concern, to be afraid of, expect with alarm. And when I hear those definitions, particularly to expect with alarm, anticipation or awareness of danger. I know that we all experience that, but particularly with people coming home who have done a lot of time in prison, I know from talking to too many people that there is fear when it's time to go home. And what I want to do is I want each of you to explore and answer, and share with the group maybe one or two things that you were afraid of when you knew you were coming home, and whether or not those things actually happened. Okay, so when you were scheduled to come home from prison, hi everybody, hi sir. When you were scheduled to come home from prison, you can't make it.
No.
Okay, he can't. He's in so much pain. We losing Pike today. Everybody pray for him. He's in too much pain to stay. I love you, sweetie. Here. His leg, his back, everything is just too much pain. But anyway, so I would like for you guys to, because it'll be real interesting to me, what things you were afraid of and whether or not those things actually happened or not. And whether you feel like it was right for you to be afraid of those things. So anybody want to go first? Don't make me have to call. Go ahead, Cheryl. Unmute. How you don't know how to unmute, Cheryl? How is that possible? You see me? We you know what? I ain't playing with you. If you don't unmute that. Really? Why you acting like Kit? Why you acting like Kit, like you don't know how to unmute, Cheryl? There you go.
How you put that little thing so I can do that? Oh, thank you.
I did. It allows me to say, ask you to unmute.
So there was nothing I was afraid of prior, but when I came home, I had to catch the bus for a while, and I was very afraid that I was going to get shot at the bus stop and that somebody was going to come on the bus and shoot us on the bus. And then when I'd walk down the street, I was scared to pass people because I thought they were going to turn around and do something to me.
So Cheryl, let me ask you, what caused you to have that fear? What was it that made you afraid that somebody was going to shoot up the bus?
Personally, I think it was me watching the news and seeing what was going on in the free world.
Okay. While you were inside, you were watching the news and then having that. Okay, so now I want to, we've had other conversations and I want to say, what about your fears about doing something and then they was going to send you back. I remember you saying, you would do things. He was no, it was actually after when you came out and they wanted you to do self-checkout.
Oh, that was that. Oh, now that was when I was in Wasika. Somebody came and they told me, so they bought a shopping cart for the kitchen. And I used to push the shopping cart around and I'd be like, this how I'm gonna be in the supermarket. This how I'm gonna be in the supermarket. And one of the girls said, but she said, they do self-checkout. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you can check your own self out when you get to the store. And I started crying. And I said, but what if I don't know how to do it? And what if I do it wrong? And then they send me back to prison. And I really started crying.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because
And so
that's one thing we fear is going back.
okay, everybody can agree with that. Yeah. Going back is a thing.
It's a serious fear.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one thing that I like, for example, because when I'm asking you guys these questions, this is the kind of information that I like to share with other people, right? Because they may not have anybody to talk to, and it's good for them to know that they're not the only people that have that kind of a thing. So I really thank you for opening up for that. Anybody else? Somebody else?
Yeah, this is Patrick. I want to talk about something sort of like that Cheryl talked about. The past month or two, I've been going over by my old neighborhood, and it's changed so much. And since I don't know anybody, and buildings are gone, and some new stuff is up, I felt so uncomfortable and afraid because I don't know anybody, and the population mix is so much different. When I lived there, everybody was a minority, and now it's either Latino or African American, and you don't see Asians, you don't see whites, you don't see foreign people. We used to have a lot of foreign people because it's over by LAX.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about when you were inside? What about when you knew you were coming home? Was there anything that you
violence?
Huh?
The violence in LA, in South Central, the news was always, I hate to say this, but prostituting or saying, well, South Central's bad. Gangs are killing each other. There's drive-bys. Especially during COVID, they were showing COVID where people were just coming in and robbing supermarkets or robbing hardware stores because people wanted supplies. That was scary.
Yeah, and ultimately though, being home in South Central in that house, you haven't had any of that issue since you've been there?
Well, we have sort of. Down the block, there's been some robberies. People just came in that didn't live there. So you sort of get apprehensive. And then every once in a while, like our Family Dollar down the street, it's been robbed 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And a week ago, there was a dead body there. So something happened where somebody got killed by the Family Dollar, where there's a lot of high traffic. A lot of customers go in there. So, when you hear about stuff and oh, it's 2 blocks away or 5 blocks away, it makes you think.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Steffens, was that you wanted to chime in?
Yes. Mr. Ring, this is a good topic because the 6 years I was in Pelican Bay, I had immaculate fear. You were around the worst of the worst, and you could, on a turn of a dime, lose your life. So there was a great preparation of fear, especially from the guards shooting you. But coming home, I was always told you were going to never get out. So I didn't anticipate coming home. And once I got out, there was anxiety. There was thoughts of where I was going to go and what I was going to do and what would be there for me. And getting out and coming to the Francisco homes, they had gotten information that I was getting out, that I was coming to be a resident of the Francisco home. So luckily, the people that came and got me, which was Bonafide came and got me, picked me up in Bakersfield, and brought me all the way in to Los Angeles from Richmond, California. And so And so there was a little fear. There was a little unknown, you know. So what they did was they put me up for a couple of days until they could straighten everything out with the Francisco home. Well, there was the thought of how I was going to eat and where was I going to live. So they put me in a hotel and they bought meals, you know, so that eased anxiety a lot. But since being out, I haven't I haven't had a conquest of fear. Everything, being able to be good people, good uh, Christian-hearted people, things has been going fairly well.
Good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. James, what about you? Before you came home, were there any particular fears?
Yeah, I had a fear that, well, I was fearful because I had a federal case that was looming over my head. So walking out, and as soon as I get out the gate and pull off the state property, the feds was gonna grab me. And then the other thing was fear of fitting in with my family. You know, I've been gone so long and been a loner so long away from my family that was a fear. Are they looking for the old me? Are they ready to accept the new me?
Right.
Or am I going to be able to function in this new society? When I left the street, it was 94. So am I going to be able to function in this new era? Because I'm looking at the kids that's coming in.
Yeah, and they different.
And they chewed up, spit out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So a lot of fears was basically about, am I gonna fit in this new society? Am I gonna be the old man they run over, or am I gonna wind up doing something to somebody? Because in prison, the youngsters all told me, "Oh, gee, don't go out there tripping. Ain't no respect, and you get respect in here, but there's none out there." And it was true. A lady ran on me with a basket. I looked at her like, "You're not gonna say nothing?" The woman looked at me and said, "You shouldn't have got in front of my basket."
Oh gee. I
just threw my hands up.
Oh wow.
So I get caught on camera. No, I didn't. You know,
right, yeah.
You're doing everything to try to cover yourself out of fear of going back for the slightest, dumbest thing that could ever be. You know, because when you're in prison, we read laws all the time. And everything is covered under the child safety laws. You know, child safety law this, child safety law that. And that's how they get away with a lot of these frivolous laws, what I call frivolous. But, you know, for some reason they're there.
So let me ask you this, with the concern about your family.
Yeah.
How did it actually play out?
I sat in the corner for the first 2 hours of my barbecue. My granddaughter came and sat in my lap, and she just kept kissing me and Papa, kept giving me a kiss. And she said, "I'm glad you're home." And that kind of broke the ice, you know.
Okay.
Because the innocence of a child.
Yes.
Is what really.
Wow.
You know? Because all other people, I'm looking at them like, "Oh man, we missed you. We loved you." I said, "Man, I ain't get a postcard on my birthday. I ain't get it. You know, I ain't heard you at my mama's house, so I called home." You know, and that's was my mentality. But then I have to look and think they're trying to survive just like everybody else. So a lot of them don't have the means to be able to do the things that we take for granted.
Right.
You know? So now I'm starting to come around to. I still have cousins that I haven't spoken to. And as you know, I just took a trip this past weekend to a family reunion in Missouri. So it was scary. It was scary. You know, you meeting all these people. I don't know y'all. Y'all don't know me. Last I saw y'all, 4 or 5 years old.
Right.
You know, I don't know y'all. Y'all grown. You know, and luckily one of my cousins, Mickey Pruitt, used to play for the Dallas Cowboys. He grabbed me and he just said, "Man, just stay on my wing."
Oh.
He said, I got you. Just stay by me all weekend." I said, "Okay, good."
Okay.
So that kind of helped me a little bit.
Well, that's good. See, and one of the reasons I wanted to even talk about this kind of thing is a lot of times those things that we fear don't come to pass. They don't become a reality, but the actual fear winds up paralyzing us in some way. It causes us not to get involved in certain things, not to go places, not to do different things. And so it's just very difficult. I just was so, in your instance, having your cousin at the family reunion take you under his wing and say, hey, just go with me. It helped ease your granddaughter, the innocence. Yeah. In other words, it was the love that kind of has gotten you through those things that you feared at that time. So I'm, like I say, I really wanted, because I know there are people, I know one thing we learned tonight so far that everybody agreed on was the biggest fear is going back to prison. That everybody has had that fear, right? All you guys that answered. So, and know that as a loved one, that's our biggest fear too. Our biggest fear is that you're going back, okay? Or we're gonna lose you again, based on what it could be, whatever. Okay, so that's one thing. But understanding, and then most of you guys have been gone for a long time. Okay. Everybody that at least 10 years. And so society changes a lot during that time too. And then not just fitting in with your family, but how do you function in this society, the way that it functions today. But fear can paralyze you. Fear can make you not want to do anything. Fear grows into phobias and all kind of stuff. I've been in car accidents, so now I have a phobia, not about running into the person in front of me, but somebody behind me not being able to stop. So if I'm riding with somebody in the car and they look like they get too close to that car in front of me, I start bracing and putting on the brakes with my foot and all of that. And my whole body can go hot, everything. I cannot stop it. I have gotten to the point where I stopped trying to grab. Come on up. You got to get up, come over here. So, yes, I do.
Who am I? I don't know who I am.
You know what?
There you go.
Get a chair, Mr. Bradley, sit down here. Here, get a chair, sit down here.
Peanut gallery.
He in the peanut gallery now, y'all. Look who done showed up in person.
Yeah.
Come here. Talking about we don't know who he is.
No, I'm talking about you.
I'm talking about
they see me all the time.
I don't know.
How you doing?
No. Sweet no. So I want you to talk about your fears.
My fears. People who was in my past life afraid of me. Mm-hmm. A lot of them thinking, because of my case I went to prison on. Mm-hmm. I grew up in this neighborhood. Right?
Here?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, and they my case, the way I was, a violent person, I was very violent, the gang activity and all that, drug activity and all that. And I helped a lot of my so-called homeboys at the time. When they were down on their knees, on their bad luck, they would go to jail, I bail them out and all that type of stuff. And so once I went to prison, wasn't nobody there for me. These so-called homeboys wasn't there for me. And so they've been hearing about the things the violence I was getting into prison, fighting and all this type of stuff. And with the COs and everything, But they thought I was never getting out of prison. See, they thought I was like derogatory, I was just gone. But once I got out, I was like a ghost to them. Fear came into their eyes. And I seen the fear, when I met a couple of them, I seen the fear. My fear was they were so scared of me that they would do something.
Oh boy.
And then my family, because now I'm back in this world right here, the people who did them wrong, my so-called homeboy friends did them wrong, now they get tough. Now they want to talk crazy to me because now I said, no, you can't do that. I'm not that person where I left and stuff like that. I still am that person, but I'm humble now. I fear going to prison. That's why I humble myself. I like who I am. I like that peaceful person. I like talking to people. I like communicating. But at the same time, I'm a loving person. But I know that love is that thin line. As much love I give, as much hurt and hate that will come back when it hurt. And so now it's like I try to stay my distance from certain people because I know
they get into stuff they negative, and they get with other people, and I want to go someplace and say, oh, that's her father right there. We did this and this, and she said her father's gonna do this to her, and then I end up something happened to me.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And so that's my biggest fear. As far as the police go, I don't fear them because now I'm living a positive life. I might fear them if I get pulled over on a dark night,
sure,
or something like
sure.
that. But other than that, I love life.
So let me ask this, because what I wanted to find out was before. Okay, now because you never anticipated getting out.
Yeah.
Did you go to board and then you had to wait some days to get out? In other words, did you have time after you knew you were going to get out, or was it one of those things you going home in 2 days?
I always dreamed. Since I went to jail, since the cuff was on me, I dreamed of coming home.
Okay.
But I didn't dream of coming home through the board. Now, when
But
they
what
gave
did
me a
it
date,
actually happen? Oh, they gave you a
when
date.
they gave me a date going to the board, you know, I had to fight and speak and, you know, show I have changed. I evolved to a better, humble person. But it took me 150 something days for me to get, because I had to wait. And then I didn't believe I was going home still.
Okay.
Doing that way, because I said anything can happen. It
Right.
got to a point people was testing me because they know I'm going home now. So he's not gonna do nothing. We could talk crazy to him.
Right.
But I didn't allow that to happen. I told him,
Right.
either you gonna do me, I'm gonna do you.
Right.
But at the same time, oh wait a minute, he's still that same person, but he's a kind, humble, loving person. If you rattle his cage, then he's gonna react.
Right.
Because that's my biggest hate. I hate bullies. And so they took
Oh,
that
yeah,
among
me too.
themselves to try to bully me. Thought they could bully me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But during that 100 and some days, did you have any fears or anxieties about once you got on the other side, what would happen, or what kind of things were those thoughts?
My fear biggest was failure, but not fulfilling my goals. The things all positive things. The things I wanted to do in life once I got the things I wanted to create for the community, rebuild the community that I destroyed. At the same time, also for my family and myself.
Okay, hit that number.
For the people who's in prison, I want to help them because it's like I wanted someone there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I could give to other people like I wanted someone there for me.
Right.
And so this is one of my things too, is trying to help others who's in prison try to make it home too.
Wonderful.
But I know I can't do it by myself. I know it take a tribe, a community of people working together in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do, give them people hope too. Just like I wanted someone to be there for me.
Right.
Now I'm there for them.
I want
to be there for them in a positive way.
That's awesome. Looks like we got some people that joined. Mr. Tolliver, can you hear me and speak now? Did he drop off again? Okay, so I got Jonathan. Can you unmute, Jonathan? Hi, Jonathan. So welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. Jonathan is here.
Okay, Jonathan. So this is your first time on our group? Is this your first time in our group?
Time. Yes, this is the first time in your group.
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you.
And so, how long have you been home?
About 35 days.
Welcome home, sweetie. Welcome home.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. So right now, what we're talking about, especially because you're so new, recently released, before you were actually released, were there any fears, things that you were afraid of about coming home?
Yeah, that I would have a problem finding employment.
Okay.
And that the world is moving a lot faster than it was when I came in. I stayed in there for 34 years, so a lot changed in 34 years.
Lots of change.
Lots of change.
Lots and lots of change. So yeah,
like these cell phones that I'm holding right here.
Well, you're doing good because you got on here and look, you got something I can't even do. Like you got that picture of you up there. I don't even know how to do that yet. Okay, just so you know, I never even been in the penitentiary. I'm just telling you. It trust me, it's a lot of us that don't know, right? So you're not by yourself. I have to go. What I probably need to do is get my 4-year-old granddaughter to tell me how to do it because they're the only ones that know. Only the babies.
Oh yeah, they know by naturally. They just know naturally how to work it.
Exactly. So
they trust technology.
exactly. So thank you for joining us. And then I got Jaime,
Oh,
also here for the first time. Can you unmute? Let's see. He's trying to unmute now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
I sure can. And so, so how long have you been home?
Came in the third or last month.
Okay, welcome home. And how long were you away?
30 years.
30 years. Well, welcome home. So glad you made it out alive. Did you have a period of time where you knew you were going to get out before you got out? And if so, like also the question, because what we're trying to explore tonight is what were the things that when you knew you were coming home, when you were still incarcerated, that you were afraid of? And my question, the reason for asking is to find out if those fears actually were realized, if the things that you were afraid of actually happened.
Yes, I was afraid to get deported back to my country, El Salvador.
Uh-huh.
And ICE picked me up when I get out from prison last year. So I went to ICE for 7 months to find my case, and I won my case, and I made it. So that's where I'm here now, which is waiting for my lawyer to give me all my papers and everything. Yes. That was
Congratulations. So
my big fear.
and look, and so now that's a huge one, right? And it didn't happen. Now they took you to ICE and you had to be in the hellhole because they say the ICE detention is a hellhole.
Yeah.
And they're really bad and they don't follow a lot of rules and all that kind of stuff I've heard. But thankfully you beat it. And so the thing you feared the most didn't actually happen. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes.
You know, and now the key is to continue to do those things that you know are right to prevent you from getting back in the hands of law enforcement ever again. You know, it's just time to be on the straight and narrow. I actually met a guy at the safe housing training. He got convicted actually he took a deal at 16 on a crime that he didn't commit and did 21 years. And then ultimately they found out that he didn't commit the crime, but then they took him from there to ICE and he was there for 11 months and it was just horrible, you know, and he was from China. And so now he has a house up in the Bay Area in one of the suburbs up there that he does for people coming home from prison. So, but the conversation about him not having committed the crime and took that deal, and then only 21 years later to find out that he didn't commit the crime, and then have to do another 11 months in ICE detention, all of that. And I think about how they destroyed this young man's life because he was saying that the prosecutor really was looking to boost his career. And that was really what his thing was, is he needed a conviction for whatever the crime was. And he took that conviction not caring, you know, he was saying, you know, his parents brought him here as a little kid. He didn't know anybody in China, you know, so he would have went back to China, not knowing anybody, and not really speaking the language. And you think about that, they do it with El Salvador, Nicaragua, all these places. They send people, particularly in Central America, they send them back, and they don't know anybody. They've never been, you know, they've never lived there. They've always lived here. And so, particularly with immigrants, a lot of times I know a lot of immigrants, I know a lot, and their children always want to speak English, you know, like because they want to fit in. My ex, he used to say, his family was from Panama and he was born in Panama, but he said he used to get in fights because they would call him border boy. And so he wouldn't speak Spanish, but if you put him in a situation in a crisis, Oh, he can speak fluent Spanish. It comes out, he understands it, he knows how to respond to it and all those kinds of things. But he wasn't from Panama. He's a Panamanian, but he grew up here. He came here at 5 years old. The United States is his home. And to send him back to Panama would have been horrible, you know. So it's that ICE detention thing and deportation after crimes is a huge fear. And I'm just glad that we can report in your instance that it didn't happen. You know what I mean? I'm just glad. I'm so happy for you.
They treat them bad when they.
Thank you.
So it makes you so they can hear you.
I know a lot of guys who got their license took off, got parole from different countries. They were afraid to go because they treated bad. They say they're Americanized. They doing bad.
Yeah.
They go back to where they're from. Yeah.
Different countries and stuff. They get deported. That was they was afraid of going to the country. They don't know, like you said, they don't know nobody, and they Americanized. They treat them real bad.
Yeah, and it's horrible because again, not knowing anybody, right? That's if they don't kill them. That's if they don't, you know, if they don't kill them. And the sad part is that both governments know that this happens.
Yeah.
And they let it happen.
Well, they have a law.
Yeah, I see many people got deported too over there. Yeah.
Overlooking the law.
Mm-hmm.
And the law is, if sending them back creates great harm or danger to self, then they're not to be deported.
Mm.
But what it is they get these lawyers paid by the government not to fight these cases. They just to stand in to tell them, hey, you're going back, okay, that's it.
Mm.
You know, they're not actually fighting these cases like they're supposed to.
Because they're gonna be paid regardless.
So, you know, they that's all it is, a paycheck. An easy paycheck, because it is, you got 15 guys in one day, and all these guys you done ran through, I don't think there's one that didn't get deported.
Mm.
All of them got deported. Then when they go back, now you done put their life in danger, and it's all about the judgment here, and how we know how the courts are. You know, they railroads on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we all know that the laws that's created have holes in them, and they find each hole to crawl in to justify why they doing you the way they doing you. So when they send these guys about the country, not speaking their native tongue, they're speaking their native tongue because they're here in the United States. They've been here over 10 years, being you're a resident. But that law, they don't abide to them because you committed a violent crime. That's the only way they look at it. You commit a violent crime and you're getting up out of here. But somebody asked Trump was saying something about building a wall. And they asked him, he said, okay, who's gonna pick your watermelon and your strawberries? And he got stuck and he walked away from the mic. You know, who's gonna clean up his hotels? Because all his hotel workers was immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but because he didn't have legal papers, guess what? All of them got shipped back for having a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Living the American dream, having a job.
And there were people that had worked for him for over 10 years that wound up losing their job, and he was employing them. And, you know, because of course he don't never think he's supposed to pay for nothing. So, you know, a lot of times that culture is such that other people are merely to be used for their convenience and for their purposes, whether it's labor, sex, whatever. That's what they're there for. That's what other people are for. And so, I know he had, you know, people have been working for him for years that literally got deported because he decided to run for office. And when they start looking, because once you start to run for public office, particularly an office that high, they start searching with everything. And he had to get rid of the undocumented people that he had been exploiting all along. He could no longer exploit them without being held accountable for it. But I want to say, Mr. Tolliver, first of all, hey, you unmuted, and we even see your picture. We rolling.
Hey,
Hi.
Hey, so okay, I'm with my wife in Arizona, and the bad weather was storming. The monsoon's been cracking, and so I'm illiterate to some of this stuff. I didn't ask her for her Wi-Fi passcode or know that. So I go stand next to the router and thinking I'm gonna get connected, and I didn't ask her for it. And she's like, "I see your picture. What's going on?" So it's my fault. But in my mind, I'm like, as long as y'all can see my picture, at times I was hearing y'all, at times I wasn't. But as long as my picture was popping up, I'm like, okay, they see me. That's all that matters.
I know you here. So
But I
listen.
did,
So
I did get
this
some
is your
good.
first
I
time
heard
joining
some
us,
of
huh?
y'all. Yes, yes.
And so how long have you been home?
Since July 12th.
Welcome home. How long were you away?
31.
So everybody that's 30, 31, 30, and 34 years. All of you guys, welcome home. Welcome home.
Thank you.
We are
Thank you.
cheering you
Thank
on.
you.
We are here. We want you. I have to say this, and I say this every time. And those of y'all that know me know I'm gonna tell you this. I'm going through the same thing. Be patient with yourself and be patient with the process.
Yes. I like when I couldn't see you guys for like a good 5-minute interverse, I was hearing about the conversation and hearing good stuff, and y'all gave me some good insight, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, a lot of stuff that I was afraid of coming home, you know, some of the things have transpired with my sister and cousins and all of them and things, you know. So hey, I was listening to y'all, and to answer the question, some of the stuff that I was afraid of that had come home to and things like that has happened. I still get overwhelmed walking down the street and big monster trucks come flying past me, and I think I'm sleeping and thinking I'm gonna die in my sleep and things like that. So some of the things I feel like I'm dreaming at times, you know. So
wow,
yeah.
and that's something, you know. James always says he has a psychologist that he speaks to because of all the different things that went on, and I encourage you, talk to people, talk about it. You there with your wife, talk to your wife about it, because this is the thing. A lot of times when people come home, they don't want to share that. They don't want to, number one, burden the people that are there, that they're around, with their troubles. But yes, I'm encouraging you, please talk to the people around you about it. Don't try to walk that walk by yourself. Okay. Yeah. It's not going people are going to help you. They will be there for you. And Cheryl, I see your hand up, and I definitely am going to come to you in just a second. But I just have to say, you know, one of the things that I notice is that people coming home from prison oftentimes suffer in silence because they don't want to share with anybody what they're feeling. They don't want to feel, you know, a lot of things. They suffer in silence. And so I'm just saying, you're not obligated to walk. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Okay. Yeah. I want to do it on my own. Throw that shit out the window.
I'm not good at doing it by myself.
Miss me with
I'm not good at it.
Huh?
I'm not good at it.
Yeah. Wait, so wait, what were you saying?
Some people have trauma in prison. They do go through trauma in prison.
Absolutely.
Just because they get out, you know, get locked up. Things happen in prison that traumatize.
Yes. PTSD. And there's a lot of trauma that happens in prison, a whole lot of it, right? And then in so many areas and ways and things that people are traumatized. But yet also there's also a whole lot of people who are more afraid to come home than they are to stay in prison. Yeah. Like they've gotten accustomed to being in prison and functioning there, and they're afraid to come home. And one of the guys who joined us last week, he's the one who sparked this conversation because we were talking about something and he talked about what he was afraid of. And it really impacted him. And so it made me think about it. But Cheryl, we can't see your face now. We just see the thing. So what you had raised your hand, sweetie. You wanted to say something. You want to put that thing up for you? You see it? There you go.
Okay. I would just want to say welcome home to all of you, but Mr. Tolliver, would you please tell your wife I said thank you for staying by your side all these years?
Baby. One of the members of the group, Cheryl, she said, thank you for staying by my side all this time. My pleasure. She said it was her pleasure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hey, but you know, when you married to a prisoner, you got to throw the twist in it. She said it was pain and pleasure.
Oh my gosh, don't I know? See, I'm the loved one. I didn't do time. I was the
Yeah.
loved
And we
one on
went,
the outside. And let me tell y'all something, it's interesting to me. We've talked about it several times that a lot of times as the loved ones, when we're asking you your every move and we're clocking everything you're doing, it's not because we want to control, it's because of fear of losing you again, namely for you to go back to prison. And then everybody had agreed that that was the biggest fear, was going back to prison. So the person coming home and the person who's been waiting on you to be home, all of us got the same fear.
Hey, Miss Noreen.
All afraid the same thing.
Hey, Miss Noreen, you just hit that on the nail. I got here yesterday, but I was visiting my sister, nieces, and nephews in Vegas before I got here. I didn't call for a minute. She looked at the news and saw there was stabbings and things going on in Vegas, and I had my phone on mute. And she said in the text when I got to it later on, you have a certain amount of time to call me or I'm finna call some people. And she was afraid. Real. She was afraid of what was going on out there.
And she's not trying to control you, sweetie. She's not trying to control you. She's not trying to be in charge or none of that. She's afraid to lose you again. Okay? See, because one day something happened. You left and you didn't come back for 30 years.
Yes, true.
Right? So for us, like, nobody got up that morning and said, baby, I'm getting ready to go out and I ain't gonna be back for 30. Anybody said that? Nowhere, no way, no how. Nobody had that conversation, right? But that's what happened. So we don't know how to process, we don't know how to not be afraid of that. Mr. Steffens, did you want to say something? I didn't know whether you just had your hand over your head or you wanted to say something.
I want to say mainly I spoke premature because, right now I'm getting out of school at 8:30 at night and getting home real late. And I'm afraid to be out at night. And, so much is going on, especially where I live. I live on Figueroa at Gage, and so much activity out there. Yeah. And that's one of the main culprit that I have a fear of not being able to get home and be in a safe place. And coming from mid downtown to the south side of Los Angeles is very frightening at some time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cheryl, did you want to say something else, sweetie?
I wanted to say to Mrs. Tolliver that we would appreciate if you would join us one day, please. Yes. Because thank you.
Baby, one day when we're together, they want you to join for the relationship group if you're okay with it. She said, yeah, she'll join.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Because some of the things that we talk about, a lot of times, again, we had a perspective of various things. The person incarcerated, the loved ones, children of incarcerated, so we get a fort down. And then all the people holding the fort down, as Miss Tony said, right? we get a lot of input from a lot of areas. And what was you saying? What you say? What's going on for the peanut gallery? Like, what's happening? What's happening?
See, the peanut gallery always have a lot of room for extra nuts. You know how you put a bunch of peanuts in a machine, and then you got the turn knob.
You got the turning knob, yeah.
That's the turn knob.
Back in the back. You better be afraid. Look. She didn't put her hand on her hip. Be afraid.
See, she said she crushed your nuts already.
Let me just tell y'all that's new to this group. They all crazy. I just want you to know, okay? They crazy. PTSD. Yes, all of that post incarceration trauma disorders. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on around here. But one thing I can tell you is we love on one another. Okay. I think there's only one rule here, that one thing that don't go, and that's the lie.
Yeah, crazy.
That's what we ain't gonna do, is we ain't gonna lie one to another, okay?
Nuts, I take that as a compliment.
You take that, you said most crazy people what?
Yeah, great mind. Think outside the box.
Well, look, Mr. Bradley here, he can fix that up any which way he want, but they all crazy. Let's just call it what it is. Him at the top of the list. Look,
come home. and I'm gonna be honest, if you come home and don't think that you don't fit in this peanut gallery, you the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah,
you all got issues.
And you probably need medication. Look, you probably need actual meds.
Center Club and 3 grams of rice from Hound Dog without the cocaine. You want you locked up. But and see that's the biggest.
Okay.
I told you that was
okay. See, this is the thing. Didn't I just say that we don't lie one to another up in here?
Yes.
Why did she decide to lie?
She thought nobody would
we
hear.
We just said we don't do that up in here. We can't let that stand. Okay, let me just say this about her.
One time though.
This the thing. I can't talk too much because she brought us a snack. Okay, she bribing us with seafood salad and cupcakes. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna leave it here. Okay, because I need my seafood salad and cupcakes. Okay, but let me just say this: that's not true. That's not true. She that one. Okay. No, you say she peaceful now. Wait till she get riled up about something.
Well, that's just something pissed off.
Okay. No. She come with her own brand of insanity, y'all. Let's just be clear.
With 4 other people, right? And all of them in
that same body. All up in that same body. It's 4 or 5 different people up in there. And look, this the really crazy thing. She got a photographic memory, y'all. So she remember everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So she remember.
We ain't got to record nothing. We just
yes. No, she really, really smart. That's the thing. Okay.
All the way back to 1969.
Yes, in detail. In
detail what she felt, what she thought, what it smelled like.
Yes, all of that. Okay.
I can already see them oak trees.
Okay. Yes, but we love her anyway. We just not gonna let her get away with thinking that she's not crazy. We're just not doing that up in here. Why? Because the goal is for us to be healthy, right? It don't mean because you could be crazy and be healthy too. Look, okay, we can have both things at the same time.
Gonna find out.
Yeah, that's her fear. That's her fear is that somebody going to discover that she really is a little bit off her rocker. That's Tony's fear. But guess what? Her worst fear already came true because we already know.
Yeah.
But this is the good thing. We love her anyway. And we're keeping her and we're not throwing her back, just like none of the rest of y'all. We keeping all of you guys. Why? Because we need each other. That this is the thing. As a person who loves someone who is incarcerated, I need to understand from the people who have been incarcerated why certain things happen. What was it that he was feeling? What were the things that changed him? What fears did he have? What pains, what things were he experiencing that he was experiencing that I didn't understand, I didn't know anything about? Like I always use the one, they always laugh at me when I talk about why is he wearing flip-flops in the damn shower? Right? The damn shower shoes.
I still do.
Right? Okay, like you okay, as a person who's never been incarcerated, you don't know that.
Even though I scrub my own shower. I scrub to death. I bleach it, Ajax it, all that, and I still wear flip-flops in my shower. So now, let me just tell y'all this. That shit crazy as hell. Okay, y'all crazy as hell. After all that you doing, okay, you don't need to you don't need to wear flip-flops in the shower, right? But once I understood where it came from, then I could give him grace and mercy. But you better hurry up and know the first chance I got, I threw them damn flip-flops away. I threw the flip-flops away. But see, listening to him make me understand it wouldn't matter. He just go buy another pair. Buy another pair. Because he got to take a shower. Right, and he gotta have them damn flip-flops. Okay, yep. So you learn, but again, this is why it's important I needed that information, and you guys need to know how we feel. Like it's very important, for example, for Mr. Tolliver to understand that it's not going to be about control with your wife. It's about fear. It's about concern. When she's asking, and like she said, you didn't call in a certain amount of time. Oh my God, okay, send out the people because I need to know where my husband is.
Don't play with me. I don't have that to do no more. I don't have another 30 to give. I'm terrified. Right? So you need to understand that so that you know, and you don't feel, because this is one thing I learned too, that she should know, is that I've had guys to explain that part of the reason they don't want to hear a lot from their wives is because the only females that have been in their lives during incarceration were COs, and they were telling them what to do. So the last thing they want is to come home and have their wife or their significant other start ordering them around and telling them what to do. So and not everybody feels that, but at the same time, there is some of that, and some people feel it. And so as a woman who would be dealing with a man like that, I have certain advice that I would give, how to accomplish the same thing without making it feel like you're being told what to do or whatever.
You don't tell them.
Speak up, make sure they can hear you.
When you tell somebody, you demanding them something, but when you ask them getting their permission, can I ask you a question? Or let me tell you something. Now you get aggressive. Whoa, who are you talking to? But can I ask you a question? Now you're humble. Yes, you can ask me a question.
Right.
But can I share this with you? Now they're gonna take in. Let me tell you, they go on the defense.
Right. Let me tell you, is right up there with, you always. And whatever you put in after that, it don't matter. They ain't heard you because the Dukes went up. You always, or you don't never. Okay.
No.
Throw them out. Throw them out the window.
The one that kills me is this. I know a lot of guys that got out of prison and they act like this.
Oh boy.
The comparison.
Woo! Major issue.
That was my sister's. That was my sister and them this past weekend. They was doing that this past weekend because they didn't understand that I wasn't what they considered normal after being out close to a month.
And what the hell is that exactly? Because I don't know what that means. I don't know what normal means. After 30 years incarcerated, what the hell does that look like 30 days out?
I mean, I was just seeing all them bright lights of Vegas. The only time I felt any piece of joy was not after my nephew's birthday party and spending time with my grandkids, but when I was driving by the Raiders stadium and videotaping it. Those are the only lights that calmed me down. All them other lights had me paranoid. Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. We're not gonna talk to you about following them raggedy old Raiders. I mean the Raiders. We're not gonna set trip. We're not gonna set trip. We're not gonna do that with you. We're gonna let you have your fantasy that this year is gonna be the year for the Raiders. We're gonna let you have it. We're gonna let you have it.
I got one question. How many of them is actually gonna show up to the game and not the casino?
Oh Lord. Oh, okay.
All the fans going to the casino. Simple as that. All the fans going to the casino.
Be in the casino and
so that's the thing, though. Like
that
I
said,
this group to me, the good about this group is the fact that there's a different perspectives. And one of the things that Tony says often is, she said it multiple times, is how this group actually allowed her to learn more about the person being incarcerated. Her mom was incarcerated. So she never understood the perspective of the other side. And there was a lot of things she didn't know. So it's given her a broader perspective to understand certain things that her mom never told her, because there are things that happen in prison that you guys are never going to discuss with your family members. You're just not. You don't even want to talk about it. You want to think about it. You're just not going to. Okay. And so there were things that her mom didn't explain to her. And so, but those things give her context and give her the ability to have a different perspective other than her own for what her mom was doing. And now her mom is really helping so many people and just doing so many wonderful things. But she had to get to that place, and coming here has helped her understand. So that's one of the things that I'm really proud of. What I would like to do is I would like to start with you, Miss Cheryl, if it's okay, and have you to any final thoughts about fears and things like that.
They get you get less fearful as time goes on, but I'm still, it's some stuff, because it was, especially when we have to face something that we haven't faced and we're a little fearful, but it gets easier. You just got to know that this world is right now a wicked world, and we are here and learning to live in this world, and we stray and stay away from the real negative stuff and go where we're supposed to be, because that's what took us to prison, is where we were. And I want to say again to you three, welcome home. We hope to see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Patrick?
Yeah, it's nice that we're coming together more as a family, because when we share all the fears we have, it's like, oh, I'm like you. I'm like Cheryl. Like Cheryl, you know, but it's all of us. We're afraid of going back to prison, and we're experiencing the same thing. The fact that we're afraid of parts of society, we're all experiencing that. Sometimes I'll just look around with some place I've been comfortable with, especially school, and then sometimes school I'm uncomfortable, and there's really no reason. It's just like an anxiety attack. I'm there and going, well, look where I am. I sort of have to talk myself back to sanity.
And you know what? Thank you, because ultimately for me, that is my goal as the convener of this group.
I fear.
What happened? You wanted to talk about it. My goal in convening this group is that we might all know, and you guys hear me say it all the time, there's somebody in Iowa who don't have the benefit of coming to a group, that I want them to get this information. And that's why I do what I do, because I need people to know you're not the only one. That one thing right there, and to be what Mr. Tolliver said, his family said he wasn't normal, right? It is normal for you to have certain fears and things when you come home, for you not to be doing things the way people, society thinks are normal, because you just came from an abnormal circumstance. You just came from a totally different universe. Prison is its own universe. It is different than anything else. It is not the outside world. It has its own language, hierarchy, politics, all of that. And when you've been in that for so long, yeah, coming out here feels abnormal, but know that it will transition. And that's one of the reasons I want people to understand, listen, you're not crazy.
Yeah. Being afraid
is maybe a little bit, but that's okay. You're the kind of crazy we could deal with, okay? And if nothing else, there's a whole group of crazies just like you. So you're not by yourself. Mr. Stephan, you want to go ahead and give me your final thoughts? Unmute for me, Mr. Stephan. Oh, there, uh-oh. He is unmuted. Maybe he's freezing.
That fear, huh?
Okay, there you go. You were freezing for a second.
Oh, I said, I want to thank you for this topic tonight, because I thought about getting home late at night and being out there at night, and it is quite fearful. It's quite a frightening thing. So I'll have to do this about 3 more weeks, and then I'm back to the daytime.
Good, wonderful. Oscar, any final thoughts for you, Oscar? Let me ask you to unmute, sweetie. You got to take yourself off of mute.
I know my final thought is like when we feel fear, we need to be careful, because sometimes true. For example, I had the same situation like the guy. Before I got released, I was so happy. I don't have no fear. But when the lady gave me the whole paper 2 weeks before, she told me, oh, they go to deport you to your country. After I get fear. They go to waiting for you, immigration to coming for you. I said, why? I have asylum, politics. I've been in this country more than 40 years. They told me, anyway, I just tell you, they got to pick you up, immigration. I said, well, that's time I get fear. When I got out, they take me to the bus station. When I was at the bus station, I don't tell my family to wait for me, because they told me like they go to deport me. Nobody was there for me. I was looking around really scared, you know. Anyway, and finally, I asked somebody to borrow the telephone. I called my stepson. He went to pick me up. 2 weeks later, when I came here in Francisco home, you know, I cannot come out to the garden from the door because I feel like to waiting for me there, you know. It's feel like it's hard to take it out from us, because when they tell you something, that's going to happen. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I went to visit my parole. Immigration was waiting for me in the parole office, and they took me to the detention center for 1 month. And they released me because I was really sick. I was in the hospital all that month. They don't want to spend money, but they give me my detention already in the detention center. When I got released 1 week later, I went to immigration court, and they give me my deportation. Right now, I is waiting for the appeal court, but they got to deport me no matter what. I was waiting to get released, so happy, but when they told me they got to deport me, I got that fear, because
heck yeah.
Years, I consider this country like it's my country, Yeah. I say, well, to my country, I don't have no family. I am the baby in the family. Everybody passed away,
Well, we're gonna keep on praying that deportation don't happen. We're gonna keep on praying behind that. Okay, I'm glad that you mentioned it so that we can, because collective prayer does make a difference. Okay, and I'm asking everybody if you can add Oscar in your prayers about the deportation. You want to say something about that, Cheryl?
Yes, the longer you're here, the less likely the deportation is going to happen.
Thank you.
But I'll when you guys get together with us, then I'll look at this stuff. Anyway,
you want to look at his paperwork and stuff? Okay. And I got to get Miss Roberta, because Miss Roberta was trying to sneak out the building. But we need her to give us her comments and her thoughts.
I mean, this year, y'all got my money.
You in the pike chair, and that's all you know how to say since you in pike chair. You ain't even talked about none of your fears you had or whatever.
Cheryl and I just had this conversation last week, but my fears don't look anything.
I can't hear her.
Oh, okay.
I said, remember we were just talking about this last week, and you said you need a therapist.
Okay. Well, my thing is this. Okay, but has the fear materialized? Whatever it has. Okay, so if it haven't materialized, that's a good thing.
But the fear I had coming home, because I was before I left, I used to game bang. I thought I would have to face some stuff. I didn't want to fight no more. And then I was thinking, I'm gonna come here, and I used to be scared to get on the bus and stuff from the way of life, because I thought I would see people, and I kind of didn't want to fight, but then I felt like I was gonna have to. I knew I would have fought. And I was like, dang, I wonder can I even fight, or but because I was scared. I was getting stuff in my stomach because I didn't want to fight no more. There was a time where I just fall off the head, like
but not anymore.
No.
But you talking 20-some years later. That ain't the same.
I would have fought in Alabama. I told Cheryl I would have fought in Alabama probably.
You would have had a chair. You would have had a chair.
Okay. Now y'all, and congratulations to all three of you guys.
Okay, so we got her before she kicked us to the curb. Mr. Terry, can you any final thoughts from you, sir?
I like the conversation you were bringing up about being afraid and everything, because actually when I got out, when I went to the parole board and they found me suitable, I was so scared because I figured that they were going to take it back, and then or else I'd get in trouble in the dorm or on the yard, and then I would lose the parole date. But when I got out of prison and everything, and started talking to my parole officer and everything, getting all my stuff situated. But when I got out, I couldn't know if I was going to even have a place to live.
Wow.
And it was kind of a scary thing to do, because you start living with other people, and then you anything can happen. And so everybody gets frightened of everything there is, but I just started realizing, why I got to be afraid of anything. If it happens, it happens, and when it doesn't happen, it's okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, and thank you for sharing that. And so, Jaime, any final thoughts on the topic?
Hey. Bye-bye.
Bye, baby.
I'm scared when going to the board first, but then later.
Wait a minute, 1 second. I couldn't hear you, sweetie.
I was kind of scared at first when I went to the board. because that was my second board. The first board they denied me 10 years. So this time now, said 50-50, they might let me go. But all my hard work I did in prison, I learned how to train dogs. I did a lot of groups. So that helped me, and that kind of over my fear. It was gone. Now, for some reason, I feel like God was there with me, and I went. They let me out too.
That's awesome because let's not leave him out the equation, okay? Whoever you worship, let's not leave worship out the equation, okay? Because that'll carry you a long way over a whole lot of bridges. At least in my experience, has carried me. Let me speak for myself. I encourage anybody to lean on your faith. You know, whatever that is, lean on it. It helps. It matters. You know, and so I'm glad you're home, okay, Mr. Tolliver.
My final thought is that even though we have fears, our biggest fears, we face them with so much that, and those are life or death fears. So coming out of here, you know what I'm saying? I believe we are more stronger to face our fears out here if we do what Ms. Noreen has said, which is what I've been doing. I talk to people. Because I talk to people and they help me with my thoughts, I'm able to utilize the tools that I learned in there out here to fit out here now. Because I can't use them the same way I did in there.
No.
But I can use them out here a different way. And I only learned that by talking to people and getting a better understanding on how I can maneuver.
That's awesome.
That's what I just say based on the topic, whenever we have fears, don't run into them like a bull. Get some advice about them. Talk to somebody about it.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Mr. Jonathan, can you talk? Can you unmute and talk to us about your?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I enjoyed this group. One of the things is it made me realize that I've matured because at least I'm able to admit my fears. You know, being in prison, we can't admit any fears, none. And so I have matured quite a bit, and so have the gentlemen that have been speaking. And I had a learning experience as to what my sister is going through. Because my sister is real. Why you do that? And you call me. You didn't call me. You know, she's pretty controlling, and I see now that it's fear that I might go back or get into trouble or something like that. So I enjoyed the group.
Good. See, that gives you it's just a different perspective. The issue is the same, but it's where you stand in relationship to that is what it looks like. It makes it look different. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And so any final thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah, sometimes fear is a good time. Sometimes you got to realize why I'm scared. Because you're scared of it for a reason. And once you face that fear saying, oh, I'm scared to go to jail. Yeah, I ain't gonna do nothing wrong. I'm not fit to jump in the ocean and swim with the fishes because they got sharks out there. Yes, I'm afraid of that. But when, like he said, admit your fear, admit to people, I'm scared. I'm human. I am scared. I'm not that horrible person. Think I'm tough. No, I'm human just like everybody else. I'm not going to put myself in a situation trying to prove myself anymore. So, yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome, sir.
Oh, excuse me. My word, especially to the three brothers just came on. Two of y'all, except for Mr. Tolliver. Mr. Tolliver, cherish that and nurture that and watch it grow into something more beautiful than you can ever expect. Lean on that person, communicate with that person, and be transparent. To be transparent and vulnerable is to be the best husband you can ever be. To the other two gentlemen just came home, I tell y'all to date yourself before you try to date anybody else. Because you're gonna learn on what it is that you like, what you thought you like, and what you think you need. The things is, take your time. It took me about a year to find out that I actually like brisket ends. And I just took my first flight since I was 8 years old. And I had a fear of flying because at 8 years old, the plane engine caught on fire and I was next to the wing. So this time it was long, it was rough, but overcame that fear. But chop at them a little at a time. Hate yourself, enjoy this freedom, and understand nobody can be you but you. These groups are important. I'm off the road, and I still feel the need to have these groups because they help me. They will really, really help you in the moments when you need to purge, express, and to hear somebody else's opinion objective to yours. That gives you a better eyesight and a better view of the world. So welcome home. Much love. Stay peaceful and stay with your higher power.
Yeah, and you know it's something because you know, being able to have a safe place where somebody really understands what you're going through is one thing to be able to talk to somebody. It's another thing to be able to talk to somebody that has some experience going and have been through what you've been through. The guy Pike that left, he did 38, straight. Actually, from the age of 11 to 65, he only spent 5 years free in his entire life. So he's done more time than anybody I know. And so there are people in this group that understand, and we really do care about your transition and are here to help you to get through that. And then I want to come to Miss Tony. Any final thoughts for the evening, love?
Yeah, it's in speaking on the other half, it's such a transition for the both of us in that position, and it's often very difficult to find that shared that solid shared space, and I too would like to give grace and hands off to Oliver, because it is so many people fall victim to the pressures of when you come home. So, just giving grace. We have to give you all grace, and you have to give us grace, because it's just a very difficult place for the both of us to be in. Society doesn't do anything to help that place. We as a community have to build that relationship.
Thank you. And Ms. Ward, I see you have your hand. Is something else you wanted to say, sweetie?
So with Mr. Jonathan, who said in prison, you can't fear. That's a thing we should talk about. Also different with women, because the women do.
Okay, so in case, because she was going in and out a little bit, she was saying that in the women's prison, the women do show fear, and there is a difference in how that manifests itself. I have seen some try not to show fear too, Cheryl, even like in CIW and stuff, but that is something we could talk about again. I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being so transparent, and I'm hoping that again at Free to Heal, our goal is to help all of us to be healthy, and to have a better experience, and making sure that people come home are successful in their transition, but also that we can relate to one another so we can rebuild our communities, and plug up the holes and fill the voids that mass incarceration has caused in our communities and in our lives. And so we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and anybody watching, please. Also, for those of you who are new to our group, if there's ever a topic that you really need to talk about, when we do check-in, bring it up, because that is where, no matter what I had planned or whatever somebody may have said, we will talk about what you want to talk about and those things that matter to you, because this group is not for me, it's for us as a collective. And so again, welcome home to all of you guys that did that much time. We will see you guys next week, and have a good one. And we'll talk to you next week. Okay.